7 weather with meteorologist Vivian Gonzalez.
Good morning, South Florida. We are waking up to mostly clear skies on satellite imagery and on the local storm tracking radar. It is mostly dry and we won't have to worry about rain for quite some time. Taking a look at the radar in closer detail just to show you that it is very quiet out there. Temperature wise, in the upper 60s to low 70s. We have 69 degrees in Fort Lauderdale. Also for you in Hialeah, 65 in West Kendall, 69 in Homestead. Florida Keys have been warmer in the 70s, and we have 72 in Isla Mirada, 73 Big Pine Key, including Key West, with a wind very light to calm at this time, but it will be mainly off the ocean, and that's courtesy of high pressure that stretches from the Gulf into the Atlantic. So we'll have a nice beach breeze. It will be breezy at times along the coast, but it should remain bright and mostly dry. Heading into our Friday, in and out clouds possible, still quiet across South Florida with a system brewing in the nation's midsection. That's going to be traveling towards the eastern half of the country this weekend, signaling a slight change here in South Florida, but for early next week. In the meantime, looking good heading into Saturday. Maybe a stray shower on the breeze possible, but a typical chance of rain is in the forecast Saturday through Monday at a 10%. And then with that weak front will be following, there could be a couple additional showers Tuesday into Wednesday. Your boating forecast calls for no advisories. There's a moderate rip current risk at area beaches with an east wind 5 to 10 knots, seas building up to 2 feet. Biscayne Bay light chop. Florida Keys also light to a moderate chop here with no advisories. Seas beyond the reef building 3 to 5 feet. And the next tide cycle, that's going to be high tide at 7:56 in Fort Lauderdale, 8:25 for you in Miami. So for today, lots of sunshine. Temperatures will range between 81 and 84 degrees, a typical high for this time of year. Well, that's at 80 degrees. We'll be slightly above that, but it's still going to be relatively comfortable. Tonight's lows in the upper 60s to low 70s. It will be mostly clear, and there could be some patchy inland fog. Your extended outlook South Florida calls for conditions to be slightly above average, but we'll take it. A tad more humid into the weekend, but again, our best chance of seeing a couple showers will be between Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And that's your 7 on 7 forecast.
7 weather with meteorologist Vivian Gonzalez.
Good morning, South Florida. We are waking up to mostly clear skies, but we have been seeing some in and out clouds along an ocean breeze. And on the local storm tracking radar, it's mostly dry if your commute takes you through Broward, Dade, and the Keys. And at least useful rain will be hard to come by in quite some time. But if your ride takes you around town, it's looking excellent out there at this time. It's feeling comfortable, even though it's a tad warmer. Temperatures in the 70s across the Keys, 73 in North Key Largo, Key West, and around mainland South Florida. We have a mix of the 70s and 60s. Along the coast, it tends to be warmer. 72 in Miami, 70 in Fort Lauderdale. But then take a look at West Kendall, down to 63, 68 in Homestead, with the wind out of the east today, 5 to 15 miles per hour. So we'll have bright sunshine, high pressure in charge over the next several days. And as we look ahead into our weekend, it will still remain quiet with temperatures running 2-3 degrees above normal, a tad more humid, but we'll take it. The next front really won't approach until early next week, maybe introducing a chance of seeing some additional showers, but not a lot in the forecast. Now, a lot of you have been wondering whether or not we're going to get some colder air going into Thanksgiving, and the answer is no. That cold air is going to stay well to the north. It does seem like there will be a sharp dip in the jet stream by the end of next week going into the holiday weekend that will allow a stronger front to move in. And as far as your boating forecast is concerned, it looks great in this department, but there's a moderate rip current risk at area beaches anytime we have an onshore flow. No advisories for boaters in the Keys, coastal waters light to a moderate chop. And the next tide cycle will be high tide coming up at the end of this hour in Fort Lauderdale at 7:56, 8:25 in Miami. So look for highs in the low 80s, 81, 84 degrees. A typical high for this time of year is at 80, so we'll be slightly above that. Tonight, mostly clear. There could be some patchy inland fog. Lows in the upper 60s to low 70s. Your extended outlook does have a chance of a couple showers returning into the forecast Tuesday into Wednesday with that weak front. Temperatures will remain nice and warm. And that's your 7 on 7.
7 weather with meteorologist Erika Delgado.
All right, South Florida conditions are warming now. We're seeing a lot more in the way of 80s out there, 80 in Fort Lauderdale, still 77 in Hollywood. But as we work our way through Miami-Dade, more of those lower 80s now. That 81 extending from Hialeah, Kendall down into Homestead, 80 right now at MIA. And into the Florida Keys, we're still in the 70s. We started off in the mid to low 70s. Now we're in the upper 70s. 79 in Isla Mirada and Big Pine, 78 from Cudjoe into Key West. Fair weather clouds pushing through Miami-Dade and Broward County. Mostly sunny skies continuing, though, for the island chain. And as we work our way through the day, we could see maybe a passing sprinkle, spotty shower at best, but we're really not expecting a whole lot of rainfall. We just don't have the available moisture for it. What we will notice is a little bit of a breeze, especially along some of our coastal locations. Highs will be reaching into the mid to lower 80s, and that will be the trend through the next few days. We'll end the work week on a quiet note. Heading into the weekend, it looks like we'll go back to those 60s overnight, so it will feel nice to start each day with a few more clouds maybe on Saturday. Early next week, spotty showers possible with a weak front nearby, and then we'll notice humidity levels climbing as we work our way closer to Thanksgiving. That's your 7 on 7.
7 weather with meteorologist Erika Delgado.
All right, South Florida so far, quiet conditions, temperatures on the rise, and we're seeing a bunch of 80s now across the mainland. 80 in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, 81 Hialeah, Kendall down into Homestead. By the way, Kendall, one of the spots that started off in the low 60s this morning. We started off in the 70s for the Keys, and now we're in the upper 70s. 79 in Isla Mirada as well as in Big Pine, 78 in Key West. We have a breeze that's starting to build. It's out of the east-northeast, 5 to 10 miles per hour. And later today, we could see some of our coastal locations reach as high as 15 miles per hour. One thing we are noticing for the mainland is a few more clouds across the area, and just because we have the breeze coming off the water, so clouds from the Atlantic kind of push through from time to time. None producing any rainfall at this time. Today at most, we'll see a passing sprinkle or maybe a spotty shower. By the way, we're enjoying a lot of sunshine across the Florida Keys. Where we're not seeing sunshine is across the Mississippi Valley down into Texas. Another round of heavy rain and severe weather across some of these parts, and it's because of a storm system pushing through the area. For us, high pressure blocking all these fronts that we've been following the last few days. This front tries to make it. It is a weak one, so it looks like it may reach us come early next week, but unfortunately, it's not going to bring any temperature change and could have enough moisture to maybe squeeze out a spotty shower. South Florida, regardless, does remain warm even with that front nearby. Then we'll be following another front into the middle of next week, and we'll be following to see if maybe this one brings a change for us here. In the meantime, though, we will remain warm looking into the day before Thanksgiving, and it looks like our Thanksgiving holiday preview could be on the warm side as well. Boating forecast for Miami-Dade and Broward. Risk of rip currents will remain moderate across area beaches, and it's all because we have this breeze that will pick up from time to time. Seas around 2 feet, Biscayne Bay, light chop. Heading into the Florida Keys, coastal waters, a light to moderate chop with seas beyond the reef occasionally reaching as high as 5 feet. And we do have a high tide happening in just a few minutes here. Key West, that's coming up at 10:21. Followed by low tide in the 2 o'clock hour for all South Florida sites. That's this afternoon. Speaking of this afternoon, highs will be in the mid to lower 80s, a nice beach breeze in place. Other than maybe a spotty shower or sprinkle, we remain quiet, and we remain quiet tonight as well, with mild temperatures back into the 70s and maybe a few 60s out there. The weekend does look nice. We'll remain warm in the afternoon, but we're back into the 60s in the morning. Just a few more clouds to start the weekend. We'll reintroduce a chance of a spotty shower early next week again with that weak front nearby. Otherwise, we remain warm, and then we'll notice humidity levels rising right before Thanksgiving. That's your 7 on 7.
All right, Erika. Well, now